Shalom and g'day all. This is Tehillim29 back again. And now we're doing a 3-in-1 this time. Fool's Gold. And yes, remember, you can't bank on Bendis at DC Comics. So, what issues are we going to cover today? Well, if you saw the comic haul, you'll see what they are. So for the first one, at $4.99, and it's Batman Universe. Ooh, what do I have to say about this? Alright, remember the things that I rate it for? Number 1, the cover, the art, the story, and total for the artist and for the writer. What's this total? The total is connected to the currency conversion here, and how much I actually think it's worth. Alright, just a quick rating for the cover. This does in a way happen in story, so good job for the artist in pointing that out. So for that, 3 out of 10, worth about $1.50 Australian. So good job there. The art, even internally, wasn't too bad at all. And I'll also give that $1.50. So that's another 3. Or better yet, I'll make it 5. Because I did enjoy the art. As for the story though, things I like to look for in a story: cast of characters. Were the cast of characters recognizable? The answer is yes. Was the location recognizable? We got a fair idea, but we weren't told exactly where we were for some of the locations we went to. What about comic references? No, Brian Michael Bendis is too fucking lazy to put in comic references. And so is his editor, who must be the biggest slob at DC. To be honest, I don't want to believe that about the editor. But that's how it comes across with it not being shown. What about time allocation in the story? No, none of that at all. Oh, and let's not forget a little bit of race bending with the character of Vandal Savage. And that loses quite a number of points there. A lot of points. So out of 10 for the story, I'm sorry, but it's going to have to be made a 0. It could be so much better, but it's not. So, total for the artist, $3. Total for the writer, $0. Overall total of who wins? Oh, we know who that is. The artist. And a big thanks to the artist putting in his time and now having to put up with Brian Michael Bendis. Alright, for the next one in Fool's Gold, we have Event Leviathan. Does the cover reflect the story? No, not really, not completely. As it's meant to unmask who Leviathan is, it doesn't actually happen within the story. Well done! False advertisement, again, for the customers and the consumers. Well done, DC. You are banking on bankruptcy. with Bendis here. Well done. It's a beautiful cover, I do admit. So, rating for the art, rating for the cover. I must admit, I did actually like the David Mack variant, which I was considering on picking up along with this, but I decided to stick with the regular. Plus, David Mack's a pretty nice guy. I'd recommend him over Bendis. In fact, I'd recommend him writing this over Bendis. Okay, art in story. With the dark tone that holds within the art, I'll give Malieve this. This art did seem a little bit more better in this issue compared to previous. And I'll give it a 5 out of 10. So $1.50 for art. And also 50 cents for the cover. So that's a 1 out of 10 for the cover. For the story though, going back over the story, the things that I like to see in story: cast of characters, great, recognised, as well as organisations connected to them, fantastic, good. Bit of an improvement compared to the previous issues. What about location? Great job again in reference to locations. All except one location which he had the opportunity to point out, but he didn't. In that, loss of points. What about time? Oh, sorry. Again, he was too lazy to point out where we are time-wise within this story. As to when it takes place. And of course, within the story, I think he really could have done this around issue 3 or issue 4, moving towards the revealing of who Leviathan is. About the only thing we do know is that yes, he is actually connected to the Manhunters, to which was sort of shown in this issue. That means something I did suspect in it did actually come off as right. Just the way how he was writing the characters. Too predictable, and it almost feels like a rip-off of Independence Day. Just the way how he brings in the villain. And to add the note, what is the story rating? 0 out of 10. You only have yourself to blame, Bendis, no one else. If you can't pay attention to cast of characters, their personalities, how they react with each other, you can't blame the fans, nor can you demean them. That isn't very wise either. Especially in relation to the next thing that will be covered. So, back again for the last thing in the Fool's Gold, and we've got Superman, the Super Son's Return. I'll give the artist this. It would be nicer if on the cover that the Super Sons were the younger age, de-aged. But at least they're together. That's one thing. But this is also a one-shot too. care of Bendis in relation to the Super Sons. And I'm not too sure how many people have actually paid attention to that. So for the cover, out of 10, and how much I think it's worth. Remembering what I showed you in relation to the currency conversion, of how this translates into the Australian dollar. This does happen in story, so 2.5 out of 10. It's not the artist's fault that Brian Michael Bendis is a stupid story writer. The art internally, though, I'll show you. I'm actually not very impressed with it. And this is why. Number one, you can tell it's not been hand-drawn. That's right, you can tell it's not been hand-drawn, but it's been done digitally. But I want to point out that I have seen better digital art by someone I know on YouTube by the name of Shinobi Raccoon. And yeah, he's getting a bit of a shout out. So I advise you check out his channel, because you do get to see him draw up his own art. This though, look freaking frackin' cringy. Yeah, it's great seeing Damien kick Leviathan ass. I've got no problem with that. But this hair, I'm sorry, does not really represent Damien in the comics, nor his character, or his personality, or characteristics. It is horrid. At the highest degree. Here's another picture I want to point out. Yes, it's with Superboy with Superman, and just look at the way how Superman is done over this city. It looks like the artist has impaled Superman up the behind. It looks that stupid. So for that, the art gets a very, very low number this time. I mean a very low number this time. Really, they could have done this art 10 times better without the cringy art. Even for Damien. So for that, it gets a 1 out of 10 and worth about 50 cents Australian. And last but not least, the story. How does Bendis go story-wise? Well, we do get cast of characters. One good thing. What about comic references? Oh, no, none of those. Too bloody lazy not to add it. What about location? Well, he did not have the location pointed out within the story, or even, right, we get through some pictures, well, one picture per se, that it's in Metropolis, but it still should have been pointed out in Metropolis. We had no idea where the fuck Damien was when John met up with him. Fucking terrible as. Story rating, 0 out of 10. And I think with that, Brian Michael Bendis has sealed himself into the Fool's Gold section for Rainbow Press and Comics. Because if you look into the Joker's Wild post that went up recently through my Twitter, you will see evidence of Brian Michael Bendis demeaning the Super Sons fans. And by the way, this is the last time that we will see John at this particular age. DC have already made plans on aging John Kent up again, and so hence, Super Sons destroyed forever. That's right, the Super Sons have been destroyed forever. Care of Bendis, Dan Didio, and the rest of the ilk that hold to their stupid politics. Yes, I understand it's a political year, but let's keep the shit out of the comics. Unless you're planning on doing a parody comic, which is centered around politics, then only keep it then. Until then, let's keep it colourful, and remember, you can't bank at Bendis at DC Comics.